Christmas used to mean noise, the sound of dishes clinking in the kitchen, my mom humming songs she only remembered during December, my dad pretending he hated decorating while secretly adjusting every ornament until it sat perfectly on the tree. For years, Christmas felt automatic, like something that would always be there until the message arrived. Let's take a break this Christmas, just adults this year, no kids. My dad sent it into the family group chat. Reactions came instantly, laughing emojis, thumbs up, jokes about finally having peace and quiet. I stared at my phone, then typed, "Sure, makes sense." I hit send and closed the app. Across from me, my twins sat on the floor drawing Santa with crayons on printer paper because wrapping paper wasn't in the budget this year. One looked up and smiled. "Santa still knows where we live, right?" I smiled back. "Of course he does. Because some truths you protect no matter how heavy your heart feels." Christmas Eve arrived quietly. No calls, no invitations, no background sounds of family chaos, just the hum of our old radiator and tiny footsteps across the apartment floor. We made cinnamon toast for breakfast, watched cartoons with animation so bad it somehow became funny. I told myself we were fine, and we were, mostly. Then my phone buzzed. Live Now, Harper Family, Christmas Bash. I froze. For a second, I almost ignored it. Almost. Then curiosity won. I clicked. And there they were, my parents, my brother, my sister, my cousins. The dining room glowing with lights, music playing, people laughing, the table covered in food and wrapped gifts. And then I noticed them. Children. Tiny children running through the room in matching pajamas, holding candy canes and laughing. Children. So the rule wasn't no kids, it was no us. Funny how 5 words can change shape once truth walks in. I slowly looked toward the corner of my apartment, toward the gift I'd spent months saving for. A designer espresso machine for my parents. Every bonus check, every extra shift, every little sacrifice. I wanted to give them something special, something that said, "Thank you for everything." I stared at the silver ribbon wrapped around the box. Then I took a picture, sent it to my dad. No explanation. Just one line. "Looks like you already have enough people." 40 minutes later, someone knocked. I opened the door. My father stood there. No coat, no smile, no crowd behind him. Just him. He stepped inside slowly. His eyes landed immediately on the gift. "The espresso machine?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "I saved for it." He sat down heavily, like his legs had forgotten how to hold him. Then he started. "Your mother didn't—" I raised my eyebrow. He stopped. Because sometimes unfinished sentences tell the truth better than complete ones. My twins peeked around the corner. He smiled at them, but they didn't smile back. Children notice more than adults think. "You said no kids," I said quietly, "but your house looked pretty full." He rubbed his hands together. "That wasn't entirely my decision." I looked at him. "But the message came from you." Silence. I handed him a mug of cocoa. Cheap cocoa. No marshmallows, no cinnamon, just warmth. He held it carefully, then finally said, "I came to apologize." I looked toward the gift. "No," I said softly. "You came because something was missing." His eyes followed mine. Back to the box, back to the ribbon, back to everything that hadn't arrived. That night after he left, I sat on the couch long after the twins fell asleep. Not crying, not angry, just tired. Because exclusion doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives politely, wrapped in explanations, dressed as practicality, but it still lands in the same place. The next morning, the family chat exploded with messages. Not Christmas wishes, not photos, just, "Come by later." "We saved food for you." "Let's talk." I stared at them, then set my phone down. Instead, I unwrapped the espresso machine, placed it on my own kitchen counter, plugged it in, watched it come alive. The first cup filled slowly, rich and warm. I held it in my hands and smiled. Then I took a picture, posted it with one sentence. Looks like we belong somewhere after all. No tags, no names, just truth. The replies came fast. Friends, old classmates, people I hadn't spoken to in years. Family isn't always blood. This hit me hard. I understand this feeling. And suddenly I realized something. Maybe I hadn't been as alone as I thought. A few days later, my brother showed up, holding a wrapped package. Awkward smile, eyes lowered. I should have said something, he said quietly. Inside the box was an old photograph. Us as kids playing in snow. Big smiles, red cheeks, joy without conditions. On the back he'd written, "I'd choose you first." I stared at it for a long time, because sometimes healing begins with small things, not dramatic things, just honest things. A week later, another family dinner was planned. I saw messages flying through the group chat. Let's reset. No drama. Original family only. Reset. As if hurt worked like a light switch. As if silence could erase absence. I didn't respond. But when Saturday came, I got dressed anyway. Not for them. For me. The house looked exactly the same. Warm lights, perfect decorations, laughter floating from inside. I walked in during dinner. Everyone froze. My dad lowered his fork. My sister blinked. Mom stared. "You didn't RSVP," she said carefully. "I know," I replied, but I got tired of being invisible. I reached into my bag and pulled out a framed family photo. Last Christmas. Everyone smiling, everyone together, except us. I leaned it beside the dessert table, then stepped back. No speeches, no accusations, just truth sitting in plain sight, because sometimes truth doesn't need volume, it only needs space. I left before anyone spoke, and by morning, that image had traveled far beyond our living room. People shared it, connected with it, saw themselves in it, not because of drama, because they recognized the feeling. Being the extra person, the forgotten one, the maybe next time invitation. Months passed. Spring arrived quietly. My twins flourished. One started writing poems. The other planted tiny seeds in mason jars and talked to them every morning. Our apartment was still small, still imperfect, still secondhand, but somehow it felt bigger, safer, warmer. Because love had finally stopped being something we chased, it became something we built. One afternoon, a large envelope arrived. Inside was a certificate. An article I'd written about exclusion and healing had been selected for preservation as a cultural piece. I stared at my name printed across the page, not the forgotten daughter, not the single mom, just me, Delaney, my own person, my own story. Later that evening, my daughter asked quietly, "Will Grandma come back someday?" I knelt beside her. "I don't know." She thought for a moment, then asked, "If she does, can I ask her something?" "What?" She looked up at me and whispered, "Why did she forget us?" I pulled her into my arms, held her tightly, because children don't ask complicated questions. They ask honest ones. That night, I made one final post, a picture of the certificate beside my son's crayon drawing. The caption read, "We were never the extras. We were the story all along. No anger, no blame, no hashtags, just peace." Because sometimes the ending isn't about getting invited back. Sometimes it's realizing you were building your own table the entire time, and the people sitting there, they're the ones who chose you too.